ahead and go to Shedeur Sanders, man. He's actually starting for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, we saw some flashes. We saw the arm strength, of course. We also saw some mistakes where he got intercepted. He tried to fit it into a really tight window between two defenders on, I think it was a curl route, and he just couldn't get enough zip on that ball. Thought he had a bigger window than he did, and it closed really quickly, so he kind of got picked off there. We saw some bad, we saw some good in Shedeur Sanders' debut, but I also want people to, calm down. This is the Raiders, okay? I know we saw flashes, and I think we've seen more flashes from Shedeur. And just kind of comparing, I know it's a small sample size with Sanders right now, but compared to Dillon Gabriel, I didn't really see Dillon Gabriel making plays like that when he was starting. I'm just saying. But Shedeur Sanders, he looked good enough for the Browns to get the win. He was 11-20. He threw for over 200 yards. He had that 66-yard screen pass to Dylan Sampson for his first touchdown. I'm not going to really give him too much credit on that because there's a lot that goes into that. Good blocking. Obviously, Sampson has to find the right holes. Sanders is just the guy throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So let's go ahead and hear from Shedeur Sanders real quick about his first start in the NFL.
I'm not going to lie, I felt very relaxed. And half of that comes from preparing, studying, and knowing I got God on my side. So throughout all that, I had no worries. I didn't feel nervous or anything before the game because, he took all my worries and everything away.
Sanders also ended a 17-game losing streak by a Cleveland Browns quarterback making their first start. And he also became the first Browns rookie quarterback to win his first NFL start since 1995. The last Browns rookie to win his debut, Eric Sealer in 1995. Browns are 3-8. You have Myles Garrett over here believing in this man in the post-game press conference. I feel like that's when you kind of know. Shedeur thinks he's the guy. I think Shedeur can be the guy. Again, with all rookie quarterbacks, I say this. It takes time. Look at Caleb Williams last year. Most sacked quarterback in the NFL last year. Look at Cam Ward this year. Most sacked quarterback in the NFL this season. You're going to struggle. It's very rare to have a season like C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels. It just is. So you're not going to see that often. But rookies take time to develop. And even Shedeur said it in his press conference. It just took me time to get settled. He's studying. The NFL game is way different than the college game. There's a lot more you need to know, and there's a lot more that you have to be able to see with the naked eye as a quarterback. What kind of defense are they really in? Because defense is disguised like crazy nowadays. So you got to figure out all of that. Processing information. But I feel like Shedeur can do that, and he can make the big plays. I think that's the difference with Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel is kind of just, managing the game. Shedeur Sanders did the same thing as well, but also if he's got a guy downfield, he's going to take a shot. He's not scared to fire it, and I like that. He's not scared to take the risks, and I really do think Shedeur has the chance to be the Browns guy. And you got Deshaun Watson on the sideline, mentoring him. Now, who knows next year what that quarterback situation looks like. If the Browns keep Kevin Stefanski, which I think they really should. I don't think they should move on from him. But, that was encouraging. Even though it wasn't the most perfect start, how are you going to go have the most perfect start? But you got the win. You made Browns history. You've done something a Browns quarterback hadn't done in 3 decades. So I would take that if I'm Shedeur, even if it wasn't the most perfect game, in my personal opinion. And I think the Browns should ride with Shedeur, even if Dillon Gabriel's healthy, for the rest of the season, just to give those two guys a similar sample size to go off of, in my opinion. I think that's what they should do. I don't know if they will do that, but if Shedeur keeps winning, then there's no choice but to keep him in. That's what he has to do right now. He has to make it undeniable that, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the best player on the field for the Browns at quarterback, and I give you the best chance to win games. Now, the Raiders are bad. I mean, they just fired Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator. They got a lot of issues in Vegas, and I'm pretty sure they're probably wishing, oh, man, I wish we took Shedeur. I saw Antonio Pierce on a podcast. He was saying, man, if I was still there, we would have taken Shedeur. He would have not fallen to the 5th round. And, like, I see a bunch of guys, like especially Coach JB. I watch that show sometimes. He thinks Shedeur Sanders should have been a 5th-round pick. And I don't think he should have been a 5th-round pick. I mean, compared to the guys that went higher than him, Jalen Miller went 3rd round. And Jalen Miller sucks. And we all know Shedeur Sanders is a way better thrower of the football than Jalen Milroe. So stop it. Stop it. Like, we cannot sit here and be real about this right now. Now, is Shedeur Sanders better than Jackson Dart? No. But Shedeur Sanders could be better than Cam Ward. Cam Ward has not shown me anything this season. Anything. And going into the draft last year, it was those two guys that were the most talked about quarterbacks. Jackson Dart wasn't really talked about that much. But Jackson Dart's the best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion. Just kind of looking at everything. He's shown the most. He's shown the most promise. He's given the most life to his team. You know, it's as simple as that. But
talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my